fuck around and find out. That's essentially what happened here. Now, I understand Nintendo has not been doing like well from like a PR perspective for the last little bit, particularly since the like the launch or before the launch, even the official announcement of the Switch 2. Nintendo has not been like, they've been getting a lot of flack for the price of the Switch 2, the price of games moving forward. They've been getting a lot of flack for a lot of things. And I understand a lot of that flack to a degree. I understand nobody wants to pay $70 for a game. I understand the Switch 2 is, for what it is, it costs money like anything else. I mean, I can sit here and make the case for the Switch 2 actually really not being that expensive if you adjust for inflation. At launch, it's only like marginally more expensive than the Switch 1 was at launch, and you're getting a massive upgrade in terms of graphical fidelity, processing power, compared to the Switch 1. Whatever. And then like the games thing, it's like, they're just keeping up with industry trends. Nintendo is not the first company in the world to charge $70 for a game. Sony and Microsoft both beat them to the punch on that front, and they've realized that, like, oh, if people are willing to pay $70 for their video games, then we should probably start charging at least 70 for ours. Now, I suppose Nintendo could have stood on principle and said, no, we're going to sell our games at X, enough that we're still turning a profit without price gouging. The problem is we don't know what Nintendo's profit margins are on a lot of their software and hardware because they keep that stuff pretty close to the chest. I'm just saying it's easy to throw shade at Nintendo, when you don't know like the full scope of what's going on. But this is one of those. So it's and like I said, I'm sympathetic to some of the consumer concerns when it comes to Nintendo, but this I'm fully on Nintendo's side with. Like I no shame in my game. I think Nintendo is doing the right thing here. Don't steal from people. Don't steal and then don't turn around and mock the people that you stole from and then expect them to not, retaliate, which is exactly what Nintendo did here. I'm sorry, this streamer guy, he got exactly what he fucking deserved. Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Yeah, shout out to Dexerto, which I'm not super familiar with this website, but this was the best article I could find on this topic. And Nintendo wins lawsuit against streamer who played pirated games, then taunted them. So yeah, not only did he break the law by stealing, but then he turned around and rubbed it in the face of the people that he stole it from. And he got sued for it and he lost. And honestly, as you'll see in the article, Nintendo really isn't even asking for that much in damages from him. They could have went way harder on him than they did. They're showing a great deal of restraint in the amount of money they demanded, and restitution. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who are going to be all like, oh, multi-billion-dollar company, why are they suing the little man? Because, like, just because a person is weaker than you does not give them, a smaller and weaker than you does not give them the right to steal from you or assault you or anything like that. I'm 5'11" and I weigh over 200 pounds. If someone, you know, who is 5'5" and weighs, 125 pounds, 6 inches shorter and, like 100 pounds lighter, just because I'm bigger and, just because I'm bigger and stronger than them doesn't give them a right to walk up and steal my wallet out of my pocket or punch me in the face. And if they do those things, I'm allowed to retaliate against them. Just because they're smaller than me doesn't mean I'm not allowed to, dump the guy on his head and beat the shit out of him on the floor because he punched me in the face. Like the size, like so the size differential between Nintendo and this one streamer doesn't really matter to me. He broke the law. He mocked, he did it in full view of the public. He bragged about it. He mocked his victim, and then his victim retaliated. It's pretty simple exchange there. Nintendo has won a lawsuit against a streamer who repeatedly broadcasted pirated Switch games and mocked the company by saying, I can do this all day. Nintendo is known for taking a hard line against anyone leaking or pirating its games, as they should. The company has recently demanded over $4 million from a Reddit mod who's been accused of piracy and has filed multiple suits against ROM sites, modders, and leakers tied to major releases. Nintendo doesn't fuck around with this stuff. And this is the other thing that I don't think people fully comprehend. It's Nintendo warns people. We are Nintendo, we are extremely protective of our IPs, our technology and our code, and if we find out that you're stealing or messing with any of that, we will come after you. And people do it anyway, and then they sit there with surprised Pikachu face whenever Nintendo comes after them. A bear is dangerous. Is it the bear's fault that you kept throwing rocks at it? You pissed it off and then it mauled you? No, it's not the bear's fault. No reasonable person would blame the bear in that situation. Nintendo argues that piracy and leaked streams damage fans' experience and devalue titles. Depending on the game, I'm sure that's possible. A lot of leaks build excitement, but there's a difference between leaking footage, or vertical slices of games, and then literally just taking the whole game and putting it online for everybody to just download for free. The latest case targeted a streamer known online as Every Game Guru, who's been actively mocking the company, joking that they can do this all day. According to court filings, Nintendo claimed the player had streamed at least 10 of Nintendo's leaked games across several platforms, more than 50 times in total. These included unreleased titles such as Mario and Luigi Brothership. I guess they're doing a new Mario and Luigi RPG, which should be fun. I didn't even know about that. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. This is very, very, very cool. Nintendo said the streamer used emulators and burner accounts to continue streaming after repeated takedowns. Despite multiple bans and notices, he kept resurfacing under new names. What made the case stand out was the taunting. They allegedly sent Nintendo a letter boasting that they had 1,000 burner channels and can do this all day. As originally reported by Torrent Freak, the streamer also posted on Facebook calling out Nintendo directly, saying, "Should have done more research on me. You might run a corporation. I run the streets." So I really do hope that if he did send a physical handwritten letter to a Nintendo office, I really hope it's presented in court as evidence, because at this point you're literally asking for it. You are literally asking for it. Please come take me down. Nintendo, please come and destroy my life. When the streamer failed to respond to the lawsuit, the court issued a default judgment in Nintendo's favor. So the motherfucker didn't even show up to court. The judge ordered him to pay $17,500 in damages, noting that Nintendo could have sought significantly more. So yeah, even the judge is like, Nintendo could have sought more in damages from you, but they chose not to. Now, again, people could say that Nintendo should have never sued him at all because they're bigger, more powerful, and he's not possibly hurting their bottom line. That's not the point. It's the principle of the thing. If Nintendo just allows anyone, and this goes for any company, not just Nintendo, if any company allows people to steal their property and give it away for free on the internet, you are hurting the company. And maybe you think Nintendo charges too much for video games, or maybe you think Nintendo charges too much for consoles. That doesn't give you the right to destroy the company. You should do what I do in situations like this. Ghost of Yotei, all right? I was going to play it. I was going to buy it, all right? And then I didn't for a number of reasons. Things I just wasn't happy about, right? First, I wasn't happy that we weren't getting a sequel starring Jin Sakai. I wasn't happy about that. But whatever. I took it in stride. I'm like, okay, I'll check out Ghost of Yotei anyway. I saw the main character was kind of, a bit uggo, but again, not a deal breaker. Okay, female, I even justified it to myself. I'm like, you know what? The type of woman who would become that badass of a warrior and would go around beating the shit out of people, killing people in sword fights, probably wouldn't be a supermodel. So I'm just like, and if we're going for a semi-realistic world here, I can get with that. Find out, she's a lesbian. So, okay, now you're just box checking at this point. But even then, I'm like, okay, Sucker Punch. I loved Ghost of Tsushima so much that I'm still kind of on board. Then we find out about the lady who played her being an Antifa supporter. And even then, I was like, no, I don't care about her personal politics. Sucker Punch makes good games. I loved Infamous. I absolutely adored Ghost of Tsushima. It's one of my favorite games ever. I'm still on board with this. Let's go. And then the final straw came with the mocking of the death of Charlie Kirk. And I'm just like, okay, no, I'm done here. I don't even care that the company immediately disavowed her and fired the I think it was a girl. Doesn't matter. They disavowed publicly disavowed that particular dev, what they said, and then fired her employee. I can't remember if she was actually a dev. But disavowed the statement of that employee and then turned around. I don't care. It's too late now. Like, I'm not going to buy your game. You just kept piling shit on, and now I don't want to buy it. Be like me. If you don't like what Nintendo does, just don't buy their games. Don't pirate the game and then play it anyway. Just don't engage with it at all. Lack of engagement will destroy a company a lot quicker than piracy will. I can tell you that. Because if you pirate the game, all you're doing is telling people that the game is worth playing, and most people are not going to pirate it. They're just going to go, oh, well, this looks fun. This guy might have pirated it. I'm just going to buy it. So all you're doing is when you pirate, you're just playing into Nintendo's hands. You're not going to destroy Nintendo with piracy. Indifference. Indifference is how you destroy these people. If you really hate Nintendo, stop talking about them. Stop talking about them. Stop engaging with them in any meaningful way. Certainly don't buy any of their products, and don't pirate any of their products and give them free advertisement, because that's effectively what you're doing. Don't engage. That's how you. That's what works. Speak with your wallet. Anyway, let me know what you think down below, and be sure to like and subscribe, and follow all my links, sub to all my alternate channels, and you know, follow me on X, and keep an eye out on Clown World Gaming, where I am streaming. Currently Cyberpunk 2077, but I'm almost done with that, and I'll be moving on to something else. But yeah, please, Nintendo, don't throw me a lawsuit. I can't afford to pay you $17,000. Hell, I'm on your side. So please don't sue me.